I am Linnette Guy. I am 99 plus years. I was born October 13, 1924. I was born in the parish of Westmoreland at the place my grandfather called it just the Cottage. It is between Darliston and Bluefields. I'm on the plateau.
I want you to take me back to your childhood. Talk to me about growing up in Westmoreland. What was that like?
Oh, I had a lovely childhood life. I lived with my mother, who was trained by her aunt and her husband. So my mother's aunt and husband were my grandparents.
And what were some of the things that you did as a child growing up in Westmoreland?
Well, let me see now. I wasn't allowed to go across to people's house. As a matter of fact, nobody was living very, very close to us. And I wasn't allowed to run about to people's house. So my grandfather was my best friend.
Why?
He loved me and he cared for me, and I just loved him too. He never flogged me like my mother would clap me at times. And my grandmother died, and then unfortunately my mother also died.
At what age did your mother die? How old were you when she died?
Oh, but
How old were you when your mother died?
when my mother died, I was 10 plus.
Wow. What was that like growing up without your mother at such a young age?
Oh, I never missed my mother that much.
Why
My
not?
Because I never knew. My grandfather was so sweet and loving and kind and provided everything for me. He was a very kind, loving, industrious person. He had a very big property, and he had people coming around from time to time doing work for him and all that. I really had a very lovely, youthful time. In those days, nowadays they call them counselors, but in those days they weren't called counselors. And he became they called him MPB, member of the parochial board. And he would have to go to Savlamar to board meetings at times, riding on a horse and saddle. Yes, we never had many cars in those days. Just one or two cars were in the district. And from early, I learned to ride horse and saddle. Yes, I used to ride from I was about 15, 16, going to visit my aunt who lived down by White House, a few miles away, about 10 miles away. I used to ride and go and look at my mother's sister.
You are currently 99 years old. How does it feel to be at this age?
Well, at times I feel a little sad to know I don't have many relatives around because most of my relatives are gone. My best friends are gone. And I grew up two children. I haven't got any of my own, but I grew two children.
You adopted two children?
Yes, my husband's little baby sister and his daughter. The baby sister lived with me. I had her from she was about 4 or 5 until she ran away and she got married to Ian Boyd. And now she's in America. She divorced her husband and then she's American now. She's very sick, ill now. She got married again over there. My stepdaughter lives in Jamaica still. And my little sister-in-law, I never called her my sister-in-law. She was my daughter. And we chat every day or 2, 3 times a day. Though she's very sick. She's ill. She lives in a nursing home just as I do. She and her husband. So, but we chat a lot.
Did you have any siblings? Brothers and sisters?
No, I'm my mother's only child. My father had children out, but we weren't very close. I knew them and we talked, but they're all gone too.
How many? How many brothers and
I
sisters did you
I
have?
knew I knew three.
So you have outlived most of your family members.
Yes, nobody, as far as I know, has lived to my age. My uncle was the closest one, my mother's brother, and he died when he was about 96. But as far as I know, I'm the oldest member of the family.
How old was Grandpa when he died?
Oh my gosh. Oh dear. He was he was just over 70, a little over 70.
Is it a trend in your family for people to live long, beyond
Not that I
70?
know of, because no, not that I know of. I'm the longest, as I said before.
How does that make you feel, living this long?
Well, nowadays I just say, thank God for giving me a long life. I can live among anybody at all. And people hurt you, and you get cross and a little angry, but I forgive them. But I always remember, once I said to my pastor, Rev, I have a problem. Though I forgive people, I can't forget. And you know what, Sister Guy, as long as you have your senses, you're going to remember. And he told me of something that happened to him long, long ago when he was at Monroe College. So he never forgot. And he's a Christian. So as long as you have your senses, you will remember. But make sure you forgive.
Mrs. Guy, what's your secret to long life? What do you think has made you live this long?
Oftentimes I wonder, because I have sinned like other people, but I love people. I love people. And people love me. Some, not all. Not everyone will love you. And I love to help people. I think that's what has helped me. I love to help people in whatever way I can. I'm not a rich person. I'm very poor because a teacher is always a poor person. But whatever I remember an old lady, should I tell you all this though, was living across the road from me, and his relatives were tired of him. And I had what do you call it, at the back, a house, a flat at the back. And he said, Miss Guy, can you rent me that house? I said, oh my gosh, poor thing. No, you can't stay there. You can't stay there, you know. And she came and she lived there. Her name was Miss Wisdom. I remember her name now. And she thanked me so much when our relative came and took her. And I said, my gosh, I must try and help people. I must try. Because one of the things that helped me in life, I grew up in a Christian home, which I'm very glad for. I never heard my grandfather cussing a bad word, like saying, "Get out, boy." I remember one day we were walking on the road after church going to visit his sister who lived nearby. And in those days they had on there's flannel pants and the foot was close up. And he had the boys, boy, boy, him. Get out, boy, you can buy this. I always remember that story. He never used a word like what people would say. I never even heard him say damn. Never.
You idolized Grandpa.
Yes, I do. Not idolized, but I loved him dearly, and he loved me. I really loved him, and he provided for me. Even when he died, he left what he had to leave for me to go to college.
You were married.
Yes,
For how long?
nearly 40 years.
And your husband has passed?
Yes, from 93 January. I'm a widow a long, long time now.
I understand that you were a teacher.
Yes,
For how long?
I taught for 33 plus years.
Why? Why did
That's
you
it.
choose to become a teacher?
Well, At first, I never liked teaching, but afterwards, thinking of several things, I didn't want to be a nurse, so I decided I'd be a teacher.
At what age did you start teaching?
I started teaching at the age of 18 before I went to college.
Did you enjoy teaching?
Of course, I did.
What did you love most about it?
I love reacting with the children, and some co-workers are so very sweet and nice. I got many, many friends among them.
Do you remember what year you stopped teaching?
Oh, yes,
Could you tell me?
1983, long before you were born.
How old were you when you stopped teaching?
I wasn't quite 60, but because my husband was working and my job was so strenuous at school, I said, my, some teachers would ask for extra time, but I just said, not going any further, man. I just stopped at 59 plus.
Talk to me about your husband. How did you meet him?
My husband, what must I say now? He was kind and loving and all that. He was a little bit cross with Sharon and myself at times. And he would say, okay, you're not ready? I'm going to leave the motor, you're going to leave you can't take the bus and go about your business. But he was kind.
What was his name?
Joseph Guy.
Hmm. What year did you meet Mr. Guy?
I met him when I went to St. Mary to work. I was living at his uncle's house in Belfield. That is near the Highgate.
Hmm.
And he came there. His uncle must have said, boy, a young child is here, I know him. I know what he used to say, And anyway, he came and visited. And we weren't friends right away, but he kept on coming there. And I said, I can't go marry to an Indian. He was an Indian.
Why not? Why did you say that to yourself? Why did you think you couldn't marry him because he was Indian?
I don't know why. And when I grew up, I never knew many Indians around the place and all that. And. But he was fine looking and say, oh, he's a good looking man, but he was shortish. Not exactly very, very short, but not a big, tall man like what I dreamt of. Oh, boy. But he was so very nice and kind. And he would, but he never lived at home. Once he was transferred to Hanover. And when Sean and I were left alone under the helper, we missed him so much, but he would come up weekends, and take us out and so on and treat us nicely and all that.
How old were you when you met him?
Oh, I was kind of an old lady, 30 something. Let me see. What year did I meet him now? I was so young at the time. I got married late in life, about 30 something.
But you had 40 beautiful years of marriage.
Yes, 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 yes. He would provide for us. He would go to the end and buy the whole heap of big meat. He liked to eat a lot of meat, and he would buy fish for us and all those things. And he cared for us. You know,
What do you think made your marriage last so long?
because, as I said, I never came from a quarrelsome home and would have differences, but would solve them. I would have said, don't bother you, you better marry her. We never quarreled and like people and fight and all those things. And he was a Christian like myself. As a matter of fact, you know what happened? His father sent him to Kingston, to high school. In those days in the country, don't send his children to high school. His father sent him to Kingston to go to high school to become a minister of religion. But he went astray, never bothered with that.
What did he do professionally? What was his job?
He was an accountant.
What's your advice to keeping a lasting marriage, a long, loving, healthy, happy marriage?
Well, You have to learn, first of all, to be Christian like, learn to forgive because you will have differences, and try your best to be peaceful and happy and nice. Enjoy life.
When you were a teacher, what were the subjects that you taught?
Well, at a primary school, you have to teach everything. But I also taught at the high school in Mandeville, Mount St. Joseph. You know there? Oh, with Sister Pascal. I enjoyed there.
What did you teach in high school?
Oh dear, I know I taught English and maths. It's a long time ago, maybe I'm not so good. But I knew I taught English and maths and I think social studies. I taught art, but I was not a very good artist to teach. I had to do it, I had to.
Which teachers' college did you go to? You mentioned
Bethlehem Training College in Mandeville. I love the place. It's a university now, understand. In those days, it was a small place, but now it's big and all that. Love the place in Mandeville, man. I enjoyed life there. I spent 3 years there.
you mentioned that when you were 18, teaching was not what you wanted to do. What was it that you wanted to do? What was your dream career?
I wanted to go in the postal service, not to be in the post office alone, but to go around. They call them something or another. Forget what they call it right now. I wanted to know places. I'm an adventurous person. And that kind of a job would take you all over the place.
During the course of your life, did you go on any adventures?
Adventure, like I have traveled abroad a few times on vacation. Just to America though, no place else. I went there about 4 times. I never worked a cent. I was lazy. But many of my friends went and worked and got money and did all kind of thing, but I never worked. I stayed with my uncle.
You just wanted to enjoy. You just wanted to enjoy the experience.
Yes. And he would take me around the place whenever he had the time. I just like that.
Do you wish you traveled more or did more or go on more adventures as a youth?
No, no, because money was very small in those days and I lived within my means.
What is your fondest memory with your grandfather?
Oh my gosh, so many things to talk about. When he would walk around the place and pick oranges with a special tree to pick, and they were sweet and nice with a lot of fruits. We had a lot of breadfruit trees and pear trees. It was a big property. He had 36 and a quarter acres of land in the country there. Some of it was hilly though, in the newer countries, but around there. And we had a pond below the house. We had a big flower garden in front. Not nice flowers like nowadays we have. We had plenty of crotons and June rose and just common nice plants. And that's why I love flowers so much. I would spend my last penny buying flowers. And I love the garden. I love flowers. And right now, though I haven't got any here, my stepdaughter has some for me. I would take my last penny and buy flowers. I love flowers. I had a lovely flower garden. I remember that. I love to sew too. Yes. I used to make Sharon's dresses. I love sewing. I always tell people I like flowers, I like music, and I like good food.
At 99 years old, what do you do for fun?
Right now,
Yes.
I listen to music on my phone, but because I don't hear so very well, sometimes they say, you're playing it too loud. So sometimes I just feel frustrated and don't want to play it.
What is your favorite song?
Songs, oh boy, I love every type of music. I like gospel music. I like, you name it. I love music. I love music. I just love music. I used to teach music at school, singing at school, and poetry and all that. I love elocution. I love those things.
Can you dance?
Oh yes, I love to dance, but my husband was a good dancer. I couldn't dance. We'd play those days. We had the LPs and the records, and Sharon and I would dance. And he was like, "What do I mean?" He said, "So because you can't dance." Oh boy, yes, I love music, flowers. Oh boy, I miss my flower garden.
Mrs. Guy, there is one of your students here with us today. Do you remember her?
Miss Dana, Miss
Yes.
Downer.
Yes.
Of course, her father used to come to school, you see, and it would, some parents come and have to find out from teacher what, but you book not mark and this and that and that. He never had to come to me anyway. Yeah. Yes, come on, they were in love the children and they are very intelligent. They're all very. I didn't know all of them. They are very intelligent people and Christian like as well. And she's so loving and sweet. And I didn't know she was in this area. I just came over here in January, and I went to a doctor. What's his name? Bullock. What's his name? And he said I wanted some therapy, and he recommended Miss Gaynor, Miss Donor to me. I said, when I looked at the paper, I said, Donor, but I know this name. So I called her. Don't put up all these things. And I called her and said, Miss Donor, do you know Matilda's Corner? She said, yes. I said, do you know Providence School? She said, yes. I said, do you know Miss so-and-so, Miss Grant and Miss, and I called a few names of teachers. I said, yes. Do you know a teacher by the name of Guy? He said, of course. You know she's alive still? I asked her that. And we all laughed and laughed and said, I am the person. And we chatted and we laughed and, blah, blah, blah. She came and she's so nice and kind and loving. Oh, she's a sweet girl. You see, she came this morning and dressed me up. I didn't intend to wear this dress, and say, and look, we both have all this hair ready. Oh my, and I had other different necklace that she put on. Wait, yes, this is her necklace. She's so sweet.
My name is Gaynor Downer. And I know Mrs. Guy because she was a teacher at Providence Primary the years when I went there. I left Providence Primary in 1972. Ha! That's a long time ago. And so she never really taught me, but she was one of the stalwarts of Providence Primary. She um she was one of those teachers that you knew. She was so humble and so ladylike in everything. So even if she didn't teach you, you knew her, right? But I'm surprised because she didn't teach me, but when she saw my name on the referral, she knew me. She was like, I know that name. Our family was a famous family at Providence Primary because all 8 of us as children went there. And my father was the president of the PTA for years.
I knew your father.
She said she keep telling me the stories about my dad because he used to come to Providence all the time. The teachers would, Lord, when Mr. Downer come, Lord, Mr. Downer coming again. But he was very involved in our education. Hence, they all knew him. So she, by extension, she knew me. She knew all of us. So that was how I knew her. So when she called me and said she had a referral for me, I was like, and she said, but I'm very old. So I said, if you're over 95, then I would consider you old. She said, well, I'm 99. Well, of course, most of us burst out laughing. So then she said, yes, I am Linnette Guy, but you don't know your teacher by the first name. So when she said Linnette Guy, it never meant anything to me. She said, you used to go to Providence. And it was like, Mrs. Guy? And she was like, yes. I said, I'm coming there right now. So I had to rush over to meet her because all of my teachers have all gone. I don't know where any of them are. So, it was so good to see her and to talk with her and all of that.
You have a bond with Mrs.
Yes, we have a serious
A
bond.
deep,
Abiding bond.
deep. We are just alike. She's my daughter.
She says
And we never planned it.
Yeah, yes. I'm like a daughter to her, she says. But she's moving, as you know, so That's going to put a little damper. But I mean, we can FaceTime and
Yes.
whatever. She's very technologically advanced at 99. She uses her cell phone and she's on WhatsApp and she go on the internet and all of these things.
How does that make you feel? You finally
Oh,
reunited with her and just to hear she's about to leave.
We will see. We are not going to part from
I am very saddened by it because I enjoy the visit and
yes.
as much as she, you know what I mean? Because it is like part of my past, rekindled with me, and so I'm really saddened, but it's part of life. She's going closer to her relatives, so that is how it has to be.
After living for 99 years, what is your advice to the younger generation?
Well, try and live close to God. Temptations are all about. Try and live close to God. Do all the good you can, as we always learn, to all the people you can, all the way you can, just as long as you can. And even now I try to do those things. Though people might hurt you, they hurt you at times, really in a bad way too. They disrespect you and say any little thing to you, and you will say, but I try not to get too, what you must say, ignorant, like. I try not to say in my mind, too stupid, on what you're saying, you know. But I love people. I make friends with everybody. And I was living at another home, and I had a friend there. He was sort of artistic, but he was a nice boy. And you say, Sky, you chat too much. I say, what do you mean? I'm trying to help you. So that's me. I love to help people. And I like to share whatever I have with other people. Not much, but I will share. I love to share.